everyone, I'm Richie and welcome to Helix Cloud Games, and this is SideQuest, the show where we take a step off the critical path and explore more what the video game world has to offer. On this week's show, I'm joined by the host of Sounds of Stadia podcast, Mr. Chris.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas indeed, and this week, as a Christmas present to our friends over at Google Stadia, we're going to fix their marketing for them. But first of all, a bit of housekeeping. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell icon for notifications when all of our great content goes live, such as the Sounds of Stadia podcast, where every single Monday on YouTube and podcast platforms, you can get the weekly news roundup from us. SideQuest comes out on a Friday for non-members and Sunday for members, and you can get that in podcast forms because some people aren't aware of that, Chris. So that's something we do need to plug a bit more often, that this show you can get as an audio podcast. And also our Thursday night live streams, where I think we're probably playing 9 to 5.
With Dolly Parton, we are indeed.
Yeah. If you want to support the channel anymore, you can for as little as 99p, which gives you early access, as I already mentioned, to SideQuest, gives you access to our custom emojis, and all of our love and our attention. If you want more attention from us, you can try join our Discord. There's a link in the description below. So, as I said, Chris, we're going to sort the marketing out for Stadia because we've had quite a few rants about how Stadia has been let down by the marketing and Google's the directions going. Yeah, the lack of. So we figured in this time, instead of complaining about what they're doing, let's give them some ideas to grab bag of things.
I like how the start of the show you were like let's fix their marketing. It's like it's a very broad statement to suddenly be like let's be creative and constructive.
Yeah, that's what this show's going to be about. We're going to be. It's almost Christmas. I want to be positive, so we're just going to go. This is what we think they should do. But our audience have actually written in, so I'll start with this point. It's QBA PL17 from our Discord. Said host an event like Xbox Demo Days where you can download and try a ton of smaller game demos, but have it be a stream with a bunch of the best indie games. So I'm guessing rather than downloading, you just playing through Stadia. And when each one comes up, show a trailer, show a link that viewers can click that launches them directly into the game. No Stadia Pro trial or setup required. That's not a bad idea, to be honest. As a way of getting... Yeah.
We know demos work.
Yeah. And if you just go, you know what we're going to do? We're going to pick over the course of let's say a weekend event or something. We're going to let's pick 10 titles. And all of them are going to be up for the entire weekend. And every couple of hours, another title drops. And you do it in partnership with something like an IGN to get their eyes on you. Yeah,
certainly. I think it's a good shout. Thank you for writing in with your suggestion. Yeah. I think the biggest thing before we delve into this proper is looking at the marketing. I think it cannot be denied. I think even employees at Stadia would probably hold their hand up and agree that the marketing has been seriously lacking for the last 12 months. We've covered on previous shows that they've not been... Now the Game Awards is actually gone. They've not featured at any major gaming event this year. That's one whole year, and in fact more so, since they've appeared at a Gamescom, an E3, Summer Games Fest, and now a Game Awards. Not that they have to, but
the biggest showing we got was from a Ubisoft event. And it was just their logos being there.
Yeah, it wasn't massive. Obviously, Phil Harrison showed up at one of them. I forget which one, but... I think the biggest thing which drives home marketing is it's being in the public eye. It's the optics of your brand and your image. And we know the journalists out there aren't doing them any favours for the most part. So then you have to look in-house at your own marketing team and think, what is a business, what are we doing to promote our product? And unfortunately, reflecting back on 2021 and further, it has been non-existent. We can't deny that. I've got someone at my door. You can't deny that.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I wanted to point out, though, is I think sometimes it's too easy to accidentally paint all journalists with the same brush because there's a lot of negative journalists who seem to very, very clearly be singing from the same hymn sheet and have since Stadia's launch, that they're anti-Stadia, anti-Google. Mm-hmm. But I think there's good journalists out there that just aren't covering the platform. And that's part of the problem, where it only seems to be or almost exclusively negative articles coming because unfortunately Stadia doesn't have enough presence in the gaming industry for the other journalists to actually care too much about it. They're busy covering Xbox and Sony and Microsoft and GeForce Now and Luna. And this is the things, like Luna is in beta, is only available in one country, and yet I'd say in terms of its presence within the gaming industry, it's much ahead of Stadia.
I mean, just from my optics, I've seen gamers, influencers that I follow do sponsored streams. Just this last week, we saw an actual advertisement for Luna at the Game Awards, sandwiched between big, massive global announcements. The Game Awards had thousands upon thousands of people watching live, not factoring all the people who then write articles about after or watch it on demand due to time zone issues. And it was there, it was present. Yeah. It had sponsorships. And then you can't deny either Amazon Prime loot and tie-ins that also represent the Amazon brand, which in turn represent Luna, all cross-promoting. And there's been blog posts written by Amazon Luna after the fact of the Game Awards. Yeah. And yet, as we rewind over the last 12 months, we've had, you're totally right in saying, no touch points, because there's no logos on games. So when a game is announced and an article is written about a game, it's not included in there. They've had no press events this year, no connects, no good stuff events to write about for over 12 months. So there's no articles being written there. There's no posts on social media being shared or people being tagged in them. There's no developers promoting games because they don't have the logos on them. So communication has just been at such a low ebb for so long now. Since it has to change.
Since we've mentioned the Game Awards, I think one of the points that, because this is meant to be about sorting out their marketing strategy, I think we can agree, be at the gaming events.
Yes.
So 100%. What I want to see is GDC, get on stage and tell the developers of the world why they should develop for your platform. Be at Gamescom, be at E3, be at Summer Games Fest, and tell the world, tell gamers all over the world why they should care about Google Stadia, what it is that you're offering. Because I think people don't know. A lot of people, I think, just don't, like, it came out, it had a rough launch, it stopped getting covered widely by a lot of the gaming press, so people forget it exists, and most people just assume it's dead.
So it's not dead. Is it to remind them, Richie?
It's Google. Like, it's your product. You're the ones who have to sell it.
Yeah.
You can't rely on other people to sell it for you. You have to do it yourself. E3, Summer Games Fest, Gamescom, other events like that throughout the year. Be there, be very present, and have all eyes on you. And get, especially things like E3, hopefully, will be a physical event next year. Mm-hmm. It's the perfect time to get people's hands on.
Get a booth.
Get a booth. Get on the floor. Have people walking the floor, talking to people, and give them a code for something like Cyberpunk or Valhalla, so they can just play on the phone. And then crucially as well, be at the Game Awards next year. Have any of the big titles be in the mix more. There was a couple of titles that were on Stadia at the Game Awards, but there was a lot more. There was quite a few empty categories where Stadia weren't represented.
Yeah, and as a platform, you should, in theory, be covering all categories. So if someone out there, Richie, in the world of the internet was to say, but Richie, Chris, Stadia has said they're going to keep their cards close to the chest and stealth drop things as their strategy.
That's a bad strategy.
Now, Google have said that. So does that mean they have to be set in stone? Would you say, looking back at 2021, that was the smartest business move they could have made?
I think it's the worst business move they could have made, personally. I think, and the thing is, I think the best businesses are the ones that are fluid and are able to adapt to the challenges of the market they're selling into. Mm-hmm. And this is where we've talked before about sometimes Google treat it like Stadia as another part of their tech company, where gaming and tech are very different marketplaces. And if anyone's wondering, Chris is currently looking after a dog. I was just saying, like, the difference between like gaming and tech in general, and like they need to start acting like a gaming company, not a tech company in this leg of the business, and adapt to the needs of the industry that they're selling into.
Yeah, it's no good saying, well, we want to do things this way. You don't dictate the industry. Yeah. You can't come in as a newcomer to the market and say, well, we're going to do things this way. That's not how markets work. You have to adapt to the market you're in, and every other platform is at these events. Their logos are on the titles, and I don't care. I do not care if you think it's a good thing to keep things close to your chest. It's not.
It's not.
I am a consumer of your product, and I want to know what my money is invested in the years to come.
This is how much of a bad idea keeping your cards close to your chest in gaming is. Millions of people the world over tuned into a 3.5-hour advertisement this week. Well, last week if you're watching this on free feeds. But yeah, we stayed up till 4:30 in the morning streaming the Game Awards, which is just basically it's one long advertisement because we're excited to see what the future of gaming has to offer, and we want to celebrate our hobby. Mm-hmm. So, and we're not the only one. We were not the only ones doing that.
No.
Arguably, this has been the biggest Game Awards in terms of viewership. The numbers aren't out yet, but it's predicted to be.
Indeed.
But yeah.
But all I would say is if you are one of these people who staunchly defends their strategy for the last year and says they've already told us this is their plan.
It's a bad plan.
Honestly, in the comments below, I would love you to tell me one reason or one point where that has worked for them this year. Like, just honestly, spend a moment and think a year of silence, a year of not being at these events, a year of not having your logos on the games. Tell me how that has benefited this platform in any way, shape or form, because I'm definitely open to listening, but I'll disagree it's worked. I'll completely disagree it's worked.
Yeah. And the thing is, there may be one or two instances where it's worked in their favour, but there's been many instances where it hasn't.
The scales definitely tip in one direction.
Yeah. So, next, what do you think we should talk about?
I mean, there's loads of different avenues you can approach it from, and again, we want this isn't coming from a negative place. This is coming from as consumers who love, who are very passionate about this industry and this platform. How things we think could change in 2022 to garner more interest, more hype, more subscribers, more plays, more user bases, and just more eyes on a terrific cloud gaming platform. It doesn't even need to cost much. That's it. We're not asking them to get The Rock involved and get him to do promotions at every single press tour. Not at all.
Yeah.
I for the longest time have been a big fan of saying they need some kind of physical presence, because cloud gaming is such a harder thing to grasp hold of because there is no box.
And there is physical components to Google Stadia, such as the controllers and Chromecasts, etc. Mm-hmm. So be in the places that people will buy that sort of stuff. And the thing, if you go into in the UK, say a game, be there. Yeah. Be in Curry's PC World.
Yeah, the GameStops out there, the Walmarts of the world.
The thing is,
and a big part of it for me is that Google already have these presences. Yeah. In places, they have an entire team of reps who go out and talk about the Pixel, talk about the Google Home Hubs. Any of their tech, their cameras, CCTV, they have teams and locations in stores all over the planet for them products. And yet Stadia, their gaming platform, isn't there. Yeah. You can't go to a shop and pick up a Premiere Edition unless it's second hand, which is crazy.
You can walk into a Curry's PC World in the UK now and you'll find the newest Chromecast, Google TV, Chromecast with Google TV, have a Stadia controller box next to it.
Mm-hmm. Caveat, I will point out, you can pick them up physically, I believe, in the Google store in New York City.
Yeah, but just so there is that one place, but I don't think they need to go the Apple route. You don't need to invest in your own infrastructure to do this. You can use it at current brick and mortar stores that already exist. Phone shops, you can play Stadia on your phone. It could be a bolt-on sale from companies like AT&T in the US, any of the other providers. I don't know all the US phone providers. I mean, in the UK, EE, O2, Free, all these big providers have it as a bolt-on sale. Walk into any of their stores and have the Stadia stuff there.
I mean, that's just another promotion unto itself. You buy a Pixel phone, you get a Stadia pack with it, so you can game on the go and game at home.
Well, I touched on the podcast. I threw out an idea there, which I should have saved for this show. They've recently we're getting it with LG TVs.
Yeah.
Bundling the controller with it. take the deal one step further to give people the controller. Because with Stadia being there, some people might just look at it as just shovelware. It's just another one of these apps that throw on there. If there's a controller there, people, I think, are going to be more likely to try it out.
Yeah, the sheer intrigue from having the controller boxed in with it is like, what is this thing?
This is a basic controller. It doesn't have crazy features like the DualSense, but it's very well made. It's a good controller. It's really comfortable, really responsive.
It is indeed. But yeah, with the TV packs, we said in the podcast, but a great example of these partnerships with third-party companies. If they've nailed LG down, if they can get Samsung on board, which I think is a much harder fight because they have their own cloud platform launching in the future. They've also got pre-existing partnerships with Microsoft. But if they can get on board with all of the major TV brands, have your product there, it's only going to be better to get people to test out and try your platform. And I think bundling in a controller is a great move because we said on the podcast, family gets it, they see the app, they have the controller, they check it out, they get 3 months free, they immediately get access to 44 titles, they enjoy a handful of those titles, some more, some less, and then they find out that actually they can play those games on their phone and their tablet and their laptop at the same time, and then all of a sudden they're using it, they're bought into the product without even realising it. That's the best sales technique, Richie, to get someone to use your product without realising they use it or need it.
Yeah.
And then they're in. They're hooked.
Well,
they're
this is why
dream.
I've always said Google has their default suite of apps that come pre-installed in every single Android phone. Why isn't Stadia one of them? I don't think it's problematic as long as it can be deleted. Mm-hmm. And I think most people will agree. If they don't want Stadia, they can delete it. But I just have it there by default because then you're getting it in the hands of people who might not have given it a chance. And they could even do other promotions. If you buy a Pixel phone, you get 50% off on a controller and actually launch the Claw outside the US, maybe.
Or a game.
Yeah,
just some kind of crossover discount. There's nothing to say when you log in to your Android phone and make an account for the first time. It should say Google Play for all your mobile games, Google TV movies for all of that.
Yeah.
Cloud gaming, show an image of Cyberpunk, Jedi Fallen Order, FIFA. Cloud gaming, Google Stadia. There's your synergy. There's your branding. There's your free marketing on your platform. You own Android. Utilize it. It's a free tool.
There's an idea. In the next update of Android, you know, when it goes off the new things that have come in this version, optimized for Google Stadia. And
you know what that would do, Richie? That would get journalists to write an article because people do articles on every Android patch update.
Yeah.
So there is more marketing. There is more people saying in a news article and a shared product on social media. Great news, you can also now, as part of Android update, whatever, Google Stadia is now included.
I think what we're touching on, actually, a bit is Stadia seems to be that creepy cousin that no one likes in terms of the Google family. Like, the rest of Google doesn't seem to acknowledge Stadia that much. Like, they're just, like, there doesn't seem to be as much cross-play between them.
Well, that's another opportunity unto itself. We've seen in the past months the Google One subscription where you get is it Pixel Pass? Sorry, Pixel Pass, where you get the YouTube Premium, Google YouTube Music, and the Play Store Game Pass all included with a Pixel. No mention of Google Stadia, their premium gaming platform.
Here's the thing.
Bundle it.
The thing is, if you add Stadia to that, the amount of money you're losing on people subscribing to Stadia Pro full stop is going to be negligible compared to the amount of people who might give it a go because they have it.
Yeah. I mean, how many people tried out YouTube Premium and now cannot live without it? And I know it's not comparing apples to apples or anything, but again, we're talking about promotion opportunities within. Like, this is in your own house. This isn't looking outside to billboards and TV ads. This is all stuff you 100% own yourself.
Yeah. Just Google. This is the problem. I think the perception is Stadia's this thing that Google doesn't seem to have put its weight behind Google. Not necessarily its financial weight. It's other things like having it be a default app on Android. Have all these little things that wouldn't cost much to integrate. They just haven't. And I don't think you can blame Stadia for this one.
Yeah,
I think you can blame Phil Harrison a bit because he's meant to be the head of Stadia, so he should be banging on people's doors.
Yeah, he should be pushing upwards to the other members of his team and saying, like...
this is what I need from you.
Yeah. In the next 12 months, we need collaboration across YouTube, Google Music, the Play Store, YouTube ads, like, the Pixel brand. There should be a world where you can buy a Pixel Pro and it comes with a Stadia controller. Like, just a Google bundle. Like, there should be some kind of synergy there because it's all in-house. It's all in-house. It would cost next to nothing.
If you buy a Pixel, maybe you get 50% off coupon, so you can buy a controller yourself. But then if you have them in the phone shops as well, the salesperson go, oh, by the way, if you buy the Pixel 7, you get 50% off of the Stadia controller. It's like, I don't know, it's something 25 quid, and we'll even throw in like a claw.
I mean, speaking of partnerships and ideas, the Razer Kishi promotion. I own a Razer Kishi because Samsung in the UK ran a promotion where you bought a Samsung Galaxy phone, you got Game Pass for 12 months, which includes xCloud now, a Razer Kishi included, and then thousands of people out there, clearly wasn't for them. Clearly wasn't for them, so they whacked it on eBay, put it on Facebook Marketplace. I picked one up for £30-odd. Now I play Google Stadia using a Razer Kishi. Why can that cross-pollination not work the other way? When I buy a Pixel phone, why can I not have a Razer Kishi included, 12 months of Stadia Pro?
Yeah. Add bolt-on sales into your contract, so you can spread it across the term. I bought my PlayStation 5 on my phone contract. I paid it off last month. Like, it was just in a bolt-on sale. You could do the same thing for the other peripherals. I know EE do a lot of this sort of stuff. Other phone providers, I'm sure they do. The only reason I'm saying EE is because that's who my provider is, so I'm more aware.
Vodafone ran a promotion with Premier Editions recently, so that there are deals out there, but they're just not mass market. And I think, going back to the Razer Kishi, I would love to see us...
There's an Xbox Kishi. It already exists, so that means Razer are open for these sort of like cross-market thing pushes.
I mean, let's face it. You just peel the stickers off and put different branded ones on, and hey presto.
Yeah, I think they just changed some of the printing on one of the buttons.
Yeah, but you know what? That's something I hadn't even thought about. The claw is still not available outside of America. That plastic peripheral that is specifically for Stadia controllers, you can't pick up outside the States. Although it's crap, it doesn't work.
Yeah, I think claw style mounts are just terrible because they always interfere with the volume buttons on phones.
And
they're not designed well. And they're off angle, they're unbalanced. You're better off with a Kishi.
It weighs a lot in your hand, like holding at that. It is.
Or a backbone or whatever.
Kishi backbone, very good. So give me a Stadia branded Kishi controller. Where the start button actually takes you to the start menu, or the Stadia button does something, because but just more peripherals. Give me more controller colours, like you've got with the Chromecast. Again, I would kill for a Stadia gradient themed controller. Imagine that red, orange and purple that's like that sunset baked red fading into a controller. Like, we all love the Wasabi controller, but I have about 8 PlayStation 4 controllers because
you're just addicted to buying them.
I just like them.
Yeah.
What else you got, Richie?
We have social media listed, but now I think the social media game isn't that bad now.
No.
And so I want to give a positive shout out to them. Unfortunately, the social media team, Grace and Chakra, etc., they're limited based on what the organisation as a whole are doing.
They can only do what they can with the tools that are given to them. And I do think their interaction's been great. Their banter back and forward has been very engaging. It's definitely pivoted, and I think they get a lot more crap than they deserve.
It's done that thing, especially since Chaka come in. It feels less corporate and more personable, which is, I know he's still talking to a corporate entity in the end of the day. Yeah, but that is kind of the way brands act on social media now.
Yeah, and video games are cool and fun. Yeah, so you want to be having fun with them. And it's great to see, and they've had some great campaigns for people sharing like screenshots, their pets at Christmas, what you're playing this weekend.
People voting on sales.
That was great.
That's a unique thing as far as I haven't heard of that before for any other publisher, for any other platform holder.
Completely. I think that there could be more cross promotion with like click to play links and stuff. I'm sure,
especially if they joint promotions with YouTube.
Indeed. In terms of social media, I think this ties in with another one of our points. Like hired streams and sponsorships. Like we've said, we've theorized before, but the weekly blog or the fortnightly blog is good for what it is. It could be better, it could be more dealer, but again, that's down to the tools that are dictated to them.
It's not marketing. It's not marketing. It's only there for people in the ecosystem.
Yeah, it's a niche. Again, if we think about the Stadia umbrella, it's very small as it is in the industry. It's even smaller when it comes to people who even bother to read the blog.
Yeah.
So I would love to see the format evolve into some kind of video content, because that's how people consume content now. Every website, even news websites, it's boiled down to quick, short minute, 30-second video snippets, because that's the world we live in. It's a social, video-driven world. That's why YouTube exists. That's why we're here.
Yeah, once a week, or once a fortnight, whatever your thing is for it, take a figurehead and not someone you're going to go, this is the person we're going to push front and centre, stick them in front of a green screen with a microphone clipped onto them, and get them to basically read out the blog, and you edit the trailers. Look at Bryant over at the Nerf Report. That sort of style of content you could do for yourself.
Yeah. And
the views you would get, because again, for the likes of like an IGN, they might start paying a bit more attention. You're just using your own platform in YouTube to promote your stuff in a very natural way as well.
Yeah, that would be just a nice kind of like evolution of the blog post.
Yeah.
It's hey everyone, we're here for you this week on Stadia. We've got some exciting new games, fresh DLC, all dropping this week. Here we go. Let's check out the Fest trailer. Bang, and then just talk over it.
And when they do the developer interviews and stuff, they'll push out the developer interview as a blog post. Have them sat down on a couch.
Make it more human.
Yeah. You can still push the same blog post. So it's basically taking that content you already write for your blog post and adding a video element to it.
Yeah.
And I think that will take off. Like, you look at things like, I think it was like the Falconeer was one of the more recent ones they did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Imagine the developer sitting down with like a representative from Google. Let's say, for the sake of example, it's Chaka, because she's kind of the head of the social media team. Sat there having a chat about the game.
Yeah. I mean, you just have to look realistically. When I think about all the Stadia content, what my brain goes to, it goes to the Good Stuff events when we had like Xavier Woods talking, Lamar Wilson talking. We had the John Justice interview of him talking. Again, we want these. We know these companies are run by human beings, so relate to us. Be more human by showing us what you do for a living, and you're proud of your product.
Until recently, Stadia had Jared Petty in their thing, formerly of IGN, formerly of Kind of Funny. He could do this stuff. He could have done this stuff easily, whether he'd want to or not. But he does his own podcasts and stuff.
He does, yeah, and it's awesome.
So it could have been. So you've got a known personality in the industry. Well, formerly, he's moved on to new pastures now, but I think he would have been a great person to put front and centre.
Yeah, he's at limited run games now.
Yeah,
which is right for him.
Yeah,
but I think that brings around to a physical presence. I think that brings us down to kind of one of the biggest things is an actual figurehead for the brand.
And it doesn't need to be Phil Harrison.
I think that's the biggest issue. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be him if he doesn't want to do it. If he's not as comfortable or confident in doing that role. Mm-hmm. Because in the end, he's the CEO of Google Stadia. He doesn't necessarily have to be the guy walking out on stage at E3 to present it.
But the reality is, all of the press events and stuff where we hear people talking, we've seen John Justice do a handful. We've had people at the Good Stuff events and the Connect events kind of introduce Stadia, and it's just nice to see human beings work there, because as everyone's left since last February, I'm starting to run out of names I could actually put faces to and recognise them. And I saw Aaron Hoffman respond to Avery this past week on Twitter, formerly of Stadia Source.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh yeah, she's still at Google, but not at Team Stadia anymore. And
she was part of Stadia Games and Entertainment.
And you kind of forget. And we had like the Jade Raymond interview where she came out and spoke about Haven, her new studio. And like, this isn't just unique to Stadia. PlayStation and Sony are having a problem ever since Jack Trenton left.
Yeah.
And obviously Shuhei Yoshida's gone to the indie side of things. They're missing that face. And honestly, Phil Spencer is knocking it out the park with these. They had Pete Hines at the Game Awards do a little bit, a little like 1980s inspired advertisement, and
Doug
it
Bowser
humanises your brand.
I think Doug Bowser's a bit mixed at the moment. But he's got big shoes to fill. In Reggie,
he was there. He was there. Yeah. Reggie was there as well.
Reggie was there. Yeah.
And again,
with a lapel pin of himself, which I just loved.
Yeah, which is cool. And you have like all the people who make video games are human beings, and having someone come out and represent your brand and be proud of your brand and talk about your brand in an online environment can only be a good thing. Unless they turn out to be an absolute arsehole and it turns out they've had like a crazy history of doing bad things, which you like to think for the most part isn't going to happen. I'd just like someone to be relatable, and I'm like, oh, you play Stadia, you get Stadia, you know what it's all about, rather than just words on a page. I think
ultimately what they need to do is something, because 2021 as a Stadia fan was brutal. We got nothing. You didn't turn up to anything. Everything was shadow dropped. Stop that, by the way. Stop shadow dropping shit. It's bad practice. It just wasn't good. It was. It looks like there was no one down. As to quote, I think semi-quote Avery, paraphrase him, it's like there was no one steering the ship. Google didn't seem to have the weight behind Stadia in the last year, and they didn't seem to have a direction that they were trying to get to. There just seemed to be. I think their long-term strategy is things like the LG partnerships, slowly get into more people's hands. But the thing is, you're already at sea on this. You're at sea and people are jumping over the edge, getting on the lifeboats.
Yeah. And I know it's a great analogy, and don't get too caught up on it. It's just it's easy to visualize a bit more. No one's dying, no one's drowning. We're not hitting an iceberg. It's all metaphorical, people.
But people are basically getting off. They're moving. They're moving on from Stadia after several years of enjoying the platform because they just don't know where it's going, and they can see what Microsoft's doing. They can see what Sony's doing. They can see what Nintendo are doing. There's buzz. Amazon are creating buzz around Luna. GeForce Now seems to be going from strength to strength. Yeah. And Stadia's also there.
Well, that's it. It's one of those analogies where I did read through Avery's thread, and you should go check it out because again, it's very, very insightful from a admitted Stadia fan as well, like us. But you're right. If you're looking off onto the horizon, you can see the PlayStation ship. They've got their exclusives over there. They've got their inclusive bar, free food. You look over the right, they've all got parties going on, entertainment, and you look at your ship, and it's a barren wasteland. Yeah. And then someone goes and knocks on the captain's door. No response. Fast forward 18. Again, Phil Harrison hasn't tweeted. Not that he has to, but he hasn't shown any presence. I haven't seen him in 2021. What's the guy doing? So at what point do you kick down the captain's door and he's not there? You abandoned ship over a year ago and he's now on safe shores as you're just sailing off into the distance. But I don't know. You're totally right. 2021. It's just been too quiet. It's too quiet for not only a gaming brand, but just a brand in general.
Stadia's a fledgling platform, and there's no buzz around it in the industry at all at the moment. And you can't survive on that. The long-term strategy of things like the partnerships and slowly getting more and more people comfortable with cloud gaming and stuff, I think it's fine. You need a short-term strategy to get people back on board, to get those who've moved on from Stadia, who know the tech works. You need to get them back in the doors. And I think, it's been a while since we've used this word, Chris, but I want to end with this word. Give us a roadmap.
Yep. We don't need, but
we don't need it.
The platform needs it. So advertisement campaigns, promotional opportunities, partnerships, a figurehead who has a presence outside of his own four walls, roadmap. Yeah. Hired streamers, paid sponsorships, in all encompassing, Richie, one word: marketing. 2022 needs to be the year Stadia markets themselves as a platform for everyone. And
just remember, Google, a phone is a tool that people use. Gaming's a passion, it's a hobby. Understand that at a fundamental level and have it ingrained in your marketing. That what you're doing is you're selling people their hobby.
Yeah, because we've said for months and months and months, Richie, the tech works. Tech is the best. That is it's not undeniable because people have different internet and shit like that.
Yeah, that's not Google's fault.
I've not had a problem with the tech in over 2 years now. I'm sold on the tech. What you need to sell me and many, many others like me and future people like me is on the brand. And that, should we invest our money? Should I buy games on your platform? Or am I at risk of the whole thing being shuttered in years? And being quiet doesn't answer that question. It doesn't fill me with faith. And I also have a PlayStation. I have a Switch. I've been playing Pokemon Sword and Shield all week. Why did I do that? I don't know. I got a Pokemon itch. I bought some Pokemon cards.
I think we were talking about the other week.
We were.
Yeah.
But guess what done that? That was marketing. I saw someone online opening Pokemon cards. I had the nostalgia. I went and bought some myself. I went back to it. And then you know what? I thought, I have a Switch with a Pokemon game. Obviously, Pokemon's never going to be on Stadia. But due to marketing and influences...
So he sat down. He put the anime on Netflix, got a Switch in his hands and went, right, I'm in.
So, but again, that kind of encompasses the whole thing we've been talking about, Richie, that little breadcrumbs of me just watching a YouTube video has led to me putting an extra 10 hours into a competitor's platform. That could have been 10 hours I could have spent on Stadia. That could have been 10 hours I was playing on a Stadia game, but I wasn't because of free marketing. The YouTubers who influenced me to go buy more cards, they weren't paid by Pokemon. It, like you said, it's a hobby, it's a passion. And you need, that needs to be like DNA 101.
It does, yeah. I think that I do feel that there's that lack of understanding. Like, if the tech in the Pixel 4 is good, it will sell. If the tech in the games console is good, you can't guarantee it will be. There's actually, I'm trying to think. I think was it the Dreamcast was technically better than the PS1? Wasn't it technically better than like the PS1? But the PS1 just had the games. Anyway, that's all we have. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts are.
Because, this is one for the comments.
Yeah, we really, really do want to know. And I think it's the whole point of this episode is to give, hopefully, someone at Google watches this ID and goes to the boss, you need to watch this episode. But that's all we have time for you this week. Make sure you like the video if you like it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that bell icon so you know when all of our stuff goes live. The Sounds of Stadia podcast, you're on every Monday on YouTube and podcast services. We have a Discord server where you can write in your topic ideas and join the conversation any further. This show also comes out as a podcast, so if you want to listen to it in an audio format, you can. With that, I've been Richie.
I've been Chris.
We've been Helix Cloud Games. Thanks for watching. Quest completed.